can you go ahead and introduce yourselves and your business for everybody?
Sure. Let me do it.
Yeah, sure.
So we are Joey and Nicole Rivera. We're married 20 years and we own Lavender Lush Cleaning here in Utah. We do residential and office cleaning.
Excellent. And how long have you owned the business?
We've been in business for a year and a half now.
Okay. And then where'd you guys grow up? Where were you born? A little background on yourselves.
Both of us grew up in Guam, and we went to high school together.
Okay. High school sweethearts?
Not really.
No. Just knew each other from high school?
Yeah, we knew of each other in high school, but yeah, we come from a really tiny island, Guam, in the Pacific Ocean, and kind of relocated after high school in different places in the States, but then we got married in 2002,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So did you guys move here together, like plan it and kind of go your separate ways, or did you both just kind of, I'm gonna move, and then kind of rekindled years later?
My family actually relocated out from Guam to Utah, just a military move, and Nicole kind of went out to Seattle for school.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I came here to Utah for my friend's baby shower. But I knew Joey, we knew each other from high school, but we kind of just met up then. And then we were married 4 years later. And then he joined the military. So we were in Texas for a while. And then when he got out of the military, we came back here to Utah to be close to his family. So we've been here since 2008, officially.
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. And then, so what were some of your guys' favorite things to do as kids?
You go first.
My favorite thing to do as a kid, I'd have to say, well, since we grew up on an island, a lot of outdoor things. My dad is a professor of aquaculture, so I grew up on a fish farm for a couple years, a lot of fishing, and I played a lot of sports growing up too. So I was super active, and I just liked to do a lot of different things, and I still do.
So mine's pretty similar. I guess fishing was a big part of my life, and obviously the beach and sports. Yeah, so played a lot of basketball and football. So yeah.
Awesome. When you guys were younger, did you know what you wanted to be when you got older, or was it, just not a care in the world kind of thing and get to it when I get to it?
Yeah, I would say I wanted to be a firefighter. That was, I guess, my dream job. So yeah, I wanted to be a firefighter for sure.
And Nicole?
That did not happen.
I think I wanted to be a vet at one point until my dog got sick. And then I just got really grossed out at how they had to check on him. And so I don't think I really had a goal of what I wanted to be. I just knew I had potential to do a lot of different things. And I think my dad made me feel really okay about it because he said it was okay to like a lot of different things and to change your mind as you grew older. And so I've never really felt tied to one thing. And I guess I've just always felt like you can have a lot of different things in life and be successful in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely. And now, being older and looking back on it, you kind of look at through the progressions of like, as you were younger and got older, you're like, oh, well, at that age, I wanted to be a vet and then a firefighter. And then a couple of years later, you fell into something else, and it just progresses over time. And some people know what they want to do and they go for it and they get there. Others, myself especially, mine changed all the time growing up. And now looking back, I'm like, I wonder how that path would have been. Or I wonder what this would have turned out. So I always kind of like to ask that question just to see how everybody responds and how they've progressed through it. And you mentioned your dad owned a fishing business?
No, he's a retired professor at the University of Guam. And so he did a lot of consulting and helping with setting up fish farms and just in agriculture and aquaculture back on the island. And so we lived on a fish farm at one point. It was owned by the University of Guam. And so that was just an interesting experience living on a fish farm. There was just huge tanks as far as you could see it, from what I remember as a kid. They might have been smaller, but when I was a kid, they seemed huge and it seemed like they were just endless and they were just full of like tilapia and catfish. So I kind of grew up with fish everywhere.
Are you a big fish eater still,
Oh
or
yeah,
yeah?
yeah, for sure.
Anybody else in your families, either families, business owners?
Me personally, no, no.
Yeah, my sister has a business in Guam, and my dad does as well. He does a lot of different things, and I know that they kind of do a lot of work with a nonprofit back in Guam also. But out here in Utah, we don't have. I don't think we have any other family members close to us that own a business. No.
So when you guys first started your business, not many people to reach out to, whether family or friends, to bounce ideas off of. It was kind of just a shot in the dark, and let's go for it.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, we built kind of an extensive network of other business owners, though, just from previous work that I've done. And I did have a business years and years ago that did not go very well. So I just learned a lot of really hard lessons that way. But throughout the years, Joey and I still have our full-time jobs. And so the cleaning company it runs on its own with the people that we have in place and then with us as leadership roles. But the jobs that we have full time gave us the skills to implement and start a business from the ground up, basically.
Wonderful. And so then I guess experience and background, did you college, or I know Joey, you went to military, but any college before that or after that?
After, yeah, graduated with the bachelor's in business management and with the military experience. And my current position right now really deals with process development. So I do a lot of my position right now is I do quality assurance with the civil service, so with the government. So there's a lot of processes in place. So I guess that's where my experience comes into play, and obviously the leadership that the military has, I guess, provided for me. So yeah.
And Nicole?
I have the same degree. We have a bachelor's degree in business management. I think that's what we both have. And I don't know how useful it is, honestly. I think it was a good experience and something we were hoping we could apply towards like careers. But I know we learned a lot. So we both have those degrees. Mine specializes in human resources because that's kind of where my career was before entrepreneurship. And so that's kind of where my job is right now, too. And my full time job is in HR. And so, yeah.
So you guys have both overall business experience and then a little bit more focused with HR and yours as well. So you guys get kind of the whole encompassing aspect of the business, but then focus on your niches, and it seems to help a lot.
Yeah, I think together we both have a really strong skill set that complements each other. But we also at the same time have tons to learn. I mean, I think we're, what's the word, like forever learners, or,
Hmm.
you don't want to stop learning. There's always something new to learn, especially now with how technology is and how fast it progresses. We have to keep up even faster. But usually we just ask our 13-year-old or our 19-year-old, and they help us catch up on like the latest tech things that we need to know. So.
Whether it's social media or now AI is the
AI,
next
yeah,
huge thing, it's who knows what 5 or 10 years out is going to be.
right. Hopefully we'll have robots cleaning, but who knows?
Maybe, who knows? It'll make hiring a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then again, when did you start the business?
November 2021. So it's been about a year and a half, a little over.
And then I guess what inspired you guys to start your business?
I think,
For me, I would say going to conventions, I guess small business conventions in the service industry, and just talking with multiple people that were in it already. And so it kind of sparked that light bulb in my head, like maybe we can do something like this. So yeah, we gave it a shot, and here we are.
yeah, and I've always known I wanted to start something up again, just start another business. I didn't know if it would be service industry specific or retail, because that's what I had before. But like Joey said, we go to a lot of conventions for my current position, and it's all in the service industry, a lot of window cleaning, pressure washing, and also just other residential services. And so I think house residential cleaning kind of struck a chord with us because, I mean, we kind of know what it's like to be a busy family and the demands and what you need inside of your home. And we love the recurring model. And we just thought we could bring a really great service, a great quality, and stand out from the competition here in our area. And so, yeah, we just went for it, and here we are.
It's a fantastic model, especially like you just said, the recurring model.
Right.
You can get it within a week. You could get weekly customers, whereas, products one time, maybe it'll last 6 months and then somebody they'll come back and buy again, but you don't know.
Right.
And then there are other, service businesses where it is recurring, but it's a lot further out time frame wise.
Right.
So home cleaning is huge for being able to get low entry for customers and then get them as recurring as well. So how much did you guys invest in the business when you first started?
That's a good question. I want to say almost nothing, but obviously we invested some. There's a lot of time invested, but dollar wise, I would think maybe a few thousand, a couple thousand. So we took out a grant with one of the colleges, and yeah, that's how we started the business. And you might have actual numbers in your head.
Yeah, we spent about 5,000 to get started.
Yeah.
On supplies and all of our equipment, software setup, website, everything like that. About 5,000, and then we did get a grant through the Small Business Development Center here in Utah. And so that was, I believe they awarded us $3,000 for services. So they paid the services out through the grant themselves. They didn't award us the cash. And so I found services, I think we use social media management and a couple different things that we could use, and the grant paid for that as well.
Wonderful. And I mean, you kind of mentioned you bought supplies and things like that. So are you employee model or are you independent contractor model? Employee. Okay. Very few go that route. So I'm super excited to hear your guys' story of how you handle the employee route, because mainly people who start a cleaning service, at least right now, are going with the more independent contractor route to have that flexibility. But I'm excited to hear how your guys' journey goes with employees. How much revenue have you guys done since you first started about a year and a half ago?
240. So
about 240.
Yeah, about 240 as of now.
And in the beginning, how long did it take you to cross over the first 10K mark?
I would say maybe six months, I believe. Is that about right? 6 months. I would think 6, 7 months.
Pretty close, yeah. I think it's a little bit before that, but yeah, it's about that point. Yeah.
I just remember that goal was always that $15,000 goal, right? That monthly revenue. So looking at that, I was like, all right, we got to hit $15,000 monthly revenue. When we hit it, I was like, all right, let's do it. We're here. So we keep building on that. So I can't remember a specific date when we hit that 10,000, because that 15,000 was always that number for me. But yeah.
And would you attribute it to working full-time jobs to go 6 months? If you guys didn't have your jobs, you believe it would have gone quicker?
Yeah, for sure. If we were able to work in the office full-time, or if we were the cleaners, I think it would go a lot faster, but that's kind of not what our goal was. Our goal was really to try to create a business that could function on its own. We're really focused on profit margins, but at the same time, everything goes back into the business just for growth all the time. But definitely having our full-time jobs, it keeps us from really going super fast, but in a way, it's allowed us to take our time in building little pieces here and there. Because like you said, not a lot of people like to go the W-2 route with employees. It takes a lot of work to build those teams and structures and work on the people so that you can kind of blow it up when you have all your processes in place and people in the right positions. And so sometimes we feel a rush to try to make more revenue, but at the same time, it's doing what it it's supposed to be doing. And so we've hired more people to just manage different parts as well, including a general manager that we just hired, because we do need someone in the office to oversee all the people. They need leadership every single day. And so that's kind of the newest step that we've taken to kind of progress the business.
And the one advantage that you guys have over the contractor model is you have control.
Right.
Your cleaners can wear branded clothing. They, whatever you tell them goes. Whereas with the contractors, it's the opposite. They can wear whatever they want. They don't have to take the job if they don't want to. So those are the big differences where you guys have that control, and you can build that brand up so much quicker than a contractor, because your cleaners will now wear branded clothes and uniforms, or leave branded materials at the home after the clean, which helps you guys in your case.
Yeah, 100%. I think that was our main goal from the get-go, was we wanted to create a brand. We wanted to create something long lasting, something that could be grown and expanded into. And we wanted to just really create a name for ourselves and for our employees that work for us. Like, you want to be proud of where you work and what you do every single day. And I'm very familiar with contractors and house cleaners that use contractors. But I am super passionate, and I think Joey is too, about our people. And if we're gonna have people working in our company, we want to really make a difference in their lives. That's what gives us the drive to do what we do every day. Whereas if I had a contractor, I wouldn't feel that connection, I guess. And I every brand that we've created in the past or before, we stand behind it, and we want our people to kind of carry forth that brand image as well, which is impossible with contractors. You can't make them do that. And so this is the way we saw, not so much control, but giving our people the tools necessary so that they could also control the brand and be proud of the brand that they work for. And that's kind of the feedback that we get from our clients. They love our marketing. They love our people. They love our logo, everything about the company that you just can't really accomplish if you're using all contractors.
Yeah, it's a big plus. It definitely is a big plus. Again, branding yourself quicker with employees, with contractors. I guess it's a shared task in a sense, where if you have employees, you're all spreading that brand awareness. Whereas the IC model, it's all up to the business owner and whoever's running the marketing team.
Right.
And it takes a lot longer to build what somebody else with employees would have. So what unique value does your business bring to the market then?
I honestly feel like people are looking for a company that stands out. I think that a lot of companies do market that they have the best quality, that, I feel like we all kind of say the same thing. And I think when you're selling a service, you're selling an experience. So really, we're focusing on trying to portray all the time what the experience is going to be like when a client signs up with us. And that actually starts from our marketing and our website. When you go to the website, what's your experience like there? Do you feel like you're already going through a smooth, process of finding our pricing, which Book and Quality comes into play? But also, are you getting the information you need? Do you see our faces on the website and all of our technicians? And do you feel like you can trust them to come into your home? And so it starts from the website. And as soon as someone calls in, it's really important for us to get the calls answered right away. Every single call, every single lead that comes in has to be followed up right away. So they feel already this connection and this trust because there's someone always communicating. And the communication is one of the hugest things we get feedback about. We're really good at communicating back and forth really quickly. Where a lot of times in the service industry, it's really hard to get someone on the phone sometimes. It's really hard to get a call back, and you won't find that with us. Like, we're on it all the time.
Yeah.
And so that kind of sets us apart, and it really just builds that trust. You know who you're working with all the time, which of course comes into play too with W-2 employees. Like, we try to stick the same employee on that same house as much as we can. But yeah, the trust factor, the experience in general.
Yeah,
Any-
I would say that's our number one thing we sell is that customer experience for sure, and that's what our team knows too. I mean, obviously we're in the cleaning industry, residential cleaning, but yes, that should be our priority with the quality work. But to like what you're saying, to separate ourselves, we are solely driven on customer experience for sure, 100%.
That's huge, especially like you said, answering the phones as quickly as possible. If somebody leaves a voicemail, try not even let them get to that point. Answer all of them as fast as possible because if you can answer it and answer all their questions within 5 minutes and they're happy, there's no reason for them to call the next place. So you're
Right.
saving yourself from cycling through, callbacks and maybe getting somebody back on the phone. Maybe they already booked with somebody else. So having that mindset of customer service above and beyond where you don't even let it go to voicemail, massive, massive for any cleaning company for sure. So
Yeah, another thing that helps us with that too is not only on the initial, I guess, taking the call, but also after the job is done. We have anywhere from the day of or the day after to go on and do a follow up call, making sure that the client's happy, just getting their feedback, and yeah, so that's helped us out a lot too.
absolutely. Follow up all of it, making sure you're connected with the customer, hearing praise, hearing complaints. As long as you're there to listen to them, that's as much you can do as a business owner that will help you take it to the next step for sure. What about some of the biggest challenges both of you have faced as business owners and how'd you overcome them?
I would say for myself, still having a full time job and trying to keep my hands ideas going with the business. Um, I guess how I would overcome them or how I overcome them. Um, I make sure I take time for myself too. Um, Going to the gym, so I'm big on fitness. So both her and I are. So we always take time to ourselves, whether we go together or if I just go alone. Just take an hour or two of the day, just kind of, I guess, not de-stress, but kind of just be in your own space. If you
Clear your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
clear your mind. Yep.
Nicole?
So yeah, like Joey said, having our full-time jobs, it is a struggle to juggle a lot of things. And I mean, we're parents also, and then we do like to take time for ourselves. I think we're really good at prioritizing the things that are the most important to us. But sometimes you can get lost in it. And so really just being stretched thin sometimes has been a struggle just to keep your sanity. But I think the way we've overcome it, for one, is processes. I'm
Yeah.
not a big processes person, but I've learned over the years it's necessary to have a process for everything. As silly as it sounds, you should have a process because how can you train somebody else on that process if you just say, "Oh, I just do it that way"? So coming up with processes is something Joey's really good at. And then the other way we've overcome those challenges is by hiring the right people, putting them in the right seats.
And how many employees do you have as cleaners?
I think we have 6
Yeah,
or
I would say
7.
6 or 7. 6 or 7.
An office?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have one office. Yeah.
And just one office person. Okay.
Oh, sorry, two offices. Two offices.
We have our salesperson, part-time salesperson, and then our full-time GM.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. And then how are you guys differentiating your business from competitors in your area?
So I think our branding is what makes us different. I think that in the house cleaning space, I've seen a lot of companies rise up more professionally, but I do see a lot that are still using ICs for cleaning. So I think having our own W-2 employees makes us different for one. And then I see a lot of independent house cleaners or solo, they're just cleaning on their own, just a one-man team, or they just have a couple helpers. And I commend that for that because that's really difficult to do. But I have ran a business like that in the past where I was the sole employee, and there was no way for me to grow. I was burnt out. It took me 6 years to really fizzle out, but it was really hard to grow and focus on how to scale. and it was hard to focus on processes because I was living in it, doing all of the employee work every single day and the owner work at the same time. And so that was really difficult. But I think that kind of sets us apart is our structure, how we built it on our people, really, to have a really great culture. And they really carry that, our whole vision of creating this company that really makes a difference in the lives of our families and our community. Everybody can tell from our messaging, from our branding, and even as far as our pricing. I mean, our pricing is not cheap, and we're never focused on being the cheapest company out there. We're not scared to tell people our prices, and we're not hurt when they say no. And so we attract the right customers and they understand what we're bringing to them as a service, and they're happy to pay for this price because it's what they're looking for. They're looking for the communication. And I mean, the things that do benefit us too is that we are veteran owned, and we do make sure everyone goes through background checks, and we have everybody in-house training together. And so we're very transparent with those processes. And I think it's just, you have to create a lot of trust when you're selling a service inside of people's homes. And so, yeah, I think we're just very much more vocal about those things. Even though some other companies might have some of those things, we really focus on them.
Trust is huge. Trust is, I mean, you have your employees coming into the home. Sometimes the homeowner's not going to be there. They're going to leave them alone. So making sure you hire the right people and just accountability and knowing that they're going to be there doing a great job and you trust them is big. And how many cleaning services in your area are, let's say, a website is 10, 15 years outdated, no booking form, phone number doesn't even ring?
Quite a few. So I was going to get to that. So on my part, I think it's the hassle-free booking we offer. I guess obviously with booking, Koala has made it so easy for us. So like potential clients, leads can call in, and they can automatically get booked on the phone and get an actual hard number. I guess a good estimate, or not an estimate, but a good price of what their house is going to cost. Just how we built our formula in BK. It's made it easy and made it hassle-free for the clients to go and receive an actual price for their type of service or their type of home. So yeah, I guess looking at different companies in the area, competitors, their website. I don't want to say most of them, but there are a few out there that are outdated. Two, they still have to go on site to get that bid. So they still got to walk through the house and get that bid, where when you call us, we don't need to come out to your house because we know the, I guess, statistics of what we've done in the past. And I guess, price houses based on square footage, not based on hourly rate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything falls into place. There's an actual formula that Nicole had built, and it's been working since day one. So, yeah.
That's huge.
I think that going out to quote a house for house cleaning is I don't want to say it's ridiculous, because I don't know how many people are going to watch this video, but I honestly feel like it would be ridiculous for us to do. On really big move outs, then sure, you want to know what you're walking into, but there's so much technology now. And like you mentioned, when you get a phone call from a prospective client, you need to be able to provide them information, give them pricing, and book them right on the spot. I say in 15 minutes, you need to book that job, because if they have to wait for us to come out and give a quote and they're calling multiple companies, they're going to get a lower quote before I ever even get out there and give them a quote. And I'm paying for my employees' time to go out and do the quote also. Yeah. And so it was so important for me. And being in the industry that I'm in and around all these other business owners, there's a lot of fear, I think, that comes with not going out to see a place. But the companies that are using technology to their advantage, they're not going out and doing quotes all the time. And I think for our business model, our ticket pricing isn't as high as like say a roofer, right? A roofer can't just tell you over the phone how much your roof is going to be. But our service is so different. I mean, we're talking a couple $100s here and there sometimes. We should be able to book that right away. A huge move out on a 7,000 square foot house that, sounds a little iffy, we might want to go out and take a look at it. But
Sure.
those are not the everyday jobs that we have.
Yeah.
And so the everyday jobs are the ones we have to just book on the spot. And we've gotten you have to get really good at asking the right questions to vet that customer to make sure they're the right customer, asking about the condition of the home. There's a good balance to where you're not overdoing it, but you're getting the right information and you're letting them understand your policies as well.
Yeah, being fully transparent and having good communication with that potential client is also key for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, you don't want to beat around the bush about anything,
Right.
and you want them to be fully transparent with you, like what your employees or what your team's going to be walking into. But once you build that trust off the get go, I want to say majority of the time it's going to work out. But like what she's saying, if there's any red flags on what the client is telling us, their square footage might be wrong, or they might be unsure on how dirty their home may be, then we may send somebody out to go out and just take a quick look. That way we can paint the picture before we go.
100%. I feel anybody who strictly does, coming out and inspecting your home before, that's 10, 15 years ago. That's when it was huge. Now everything is about convenience. You're basically fighting if you're going to do a check every time to see the condition of the home. You're honestly fighting over an extra $10, $15 at that point, but then take into account your time to go there, gas to get there, not necessarily locking down that customer, and now you've wasted a couple hours to go there, inspect the home, and all that. So anybody, like you said, if there's a one-off case where you're not experiencing it every week or every couple weeks, sure, send somebody out, check it out real quick. But every single booking, you got to go out there. No, that's
Ridiculous.
it's ridiculous, and you'll never grow that way. You
Right.
really won't.
Yeah.
So I guess what are some strategies you use to attract and retain new customers?
Definitely using Google a lot. Google's always been worked really well for us since the beginning. I know a lot of business owners have had success here or there. We haven't had a ton of success in Facebook, and I kind of think it could be our service and the way the pricing, that our pricing model, where Facebook, I do feel like they work really well when you have really good deals or you're offering a special, and we're kind of anti discount. We do have a military discount, obviously, but we strongly believe if we're going to offer something, we're just going to add more value rather than take away some of the price. And so we might offer a free oven clean for new recurring clients, or things like that. And they don't get a ton of traction on social media, but Google works really well for us. Having a good SEO company and someone to help with marketing does help. And we're utilizing a company called Send Gym as well that helps to send out postcards, and you can target your clients' areas or just target different areas in the neighborhood, and you can filter through a couple of different key factors like household income and things like that. We use a lot of automations as well to try to reach back out to clients. I think that's really important and really underutilized by a lot of companies, is the follow-up process. And so I feel like a lot of companies are coming around. They're starting to use it a lot more because you get a lot of text messages, especially for e-commerce. I mean, you go online to look at something and you just exit out, you'll get a text right away like, hey, you left something in the cart. Like home services needs to get on that boat also. Like, hey, you were looking to get your house, booked for a house cleaning. It looks like you didn't finish. Like, do you want to get booked? We need to utilize the same things. And home services has always kind of been the industry that's always been outdated. Like a lot of people don't get up with software and start using all of the tools that are available to us. They don't even market the same way as some of these other businesses that use really creative ways of marketing. Like home services can do the same thing. Like, why not? Why can't you have viral videos on social media for house cleaning? I mean, we're not there, but that's where I want to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, product space versus home services space. very vastly different, but at the same time can be so similar in, like you said, the processes and all the things that you use with software and things like that. You can streamline so many things and make it just as easy, if not easier, than selling a product.
Right.
Now, I guess, can you share a specific example of a successful marketing campaign that you guys implemented recently?
Mm.
I think we're actually putting one together right now, but I don't have all the, I guess, details ironed out yet.
Okay.
That's something we got to talk about a little bit more, but a recent one.
So we've had success doing giveaways. We like to do giveaways in the community, and we are thinking of new campaigns to start for giveaways, but things that kind of create buzz in the community. And I frequently will get on one of our news stations to do like a segment on their lifestyle. I don't know what it's called. They do their little news segments. And I don't know how many people watch the news still, but it gives me content to be able to share on YouTube and on our website. And so we get a lot of people that comment that they like videos on the website because it helps them to answer questions that they had. It helps to people watch a lot of videos. And so I think video has been really successful for us, but definitely trying to focus on like a specific giveaway, like we used to do, focus on veterans. We were doing a lot of stuff for veterans because that we're veteran owned, but we were kind of really in the young stages of, I mean, we're still in the young stages, but a specific, very specific marketing campaign, I can't actually think of one because we don't run any crazy specials or deals. But basically, we're trying to find ways to retain clients,
Customer retention.
customer retention without really having a contract, like thinking creatively, like how can you get people to buy into almost a contract? Like we're big on deposits. We take a deposit for every new clean. It's non-negotiable because we would get cancellations left and right. We used to get cancellations because people would book, then they'd get a cheaper quote, and then they'd cancel over the weekend. So now we take non-refundable deposits, and we virtually have no cancellations.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're working on a marketing campaign to offer free oven cleaning for life. And it's basically a win-win situation for both parties because we have at least 6 months retention from the client and they get free oven cleaning every single month. And so that's probably, we haven't launched it yet. So I'm going to say that will be our most successful campaign.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good one. It's something that I've been thinking about. We've been thinking about for maybe the past maybe 4 or 5 months. We just never had time to actually sit down and kind of iron everything out. But
it's also all in theory since you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I think it's going to work. I think it's very
personally, I haven't heard anything like that from anybody I've interviewed or anything I've looked into. You know, it's a lot of the basics or frequency discount, like the more often you're booking, the more discount you get, just or random holiday discounts, things like that. But a free, I think it'll be great. I really do.
So when I think about something like that, I always think about, is it going to be a win-win situation? If it's a win-win, then I'm all for it. If it's me losing and the customer winning, then it's not really going to be ideal. If it's me winning and the customer is losing, then it's not good conscience on me.
Right.
So I'll make sure it's a win-win situation. So yeah. And right now, how I have it mapped out on my head and the numbers that we've ran, it's a win-win for sure.
That's all you could ask for. As long as both parties are getting something and they're both happy, huge. Like you said, if you're winning and the customer is losing, it's bad faith, bad conscience. Like you don't want it on you, and then vice versa. If the customer wins and you lose, well, it's kind of like the question: why am I even in business then? If I'm not making money, if I'm not winning somewhat, what am I doing? Kind of thing. So how do you guys approach financial management then, and kind of planning in your business?
I hate financial management.
I need to get better at it. I need to get more hands-on with it. But we have an accountant. We use QuickBooks. I try and stay up to date with QuickBooks. But for me, QuickBooks is such a learning curve. there's so many things in there you got to categorize, and there's so many transactions going on. But I do need to get better at it. I think I've gotten a little bit better at it since we first started, for sure. But having a personal account for the business actually really does help, for sure.
Yeah, I
Is
think everybody needs a bookkeeper. Someone needs to file your taxes, unless for some reason you have a really weird love for numbers and tax keeping, like accounting and bookkeeping, you shouldn't do it yourself. Like that was our first hire, was hiring a bookkeeper. And even in my previous business, I can't keep up with all the different taxes, especially with the W-2 employees. Like these things have to be done. And so our first hire was always the CPA and the bookkeeping agency. And then we brought on QuickBooks so that we can just track the numbers ourselves daily. And what Joy's talking about is the with all the integrations, I think it makes it confusing because you're integrating Booking Koala with Stripe, and then you're integrating what other things? There's a couple different things.
with Booking Koala, and then
Right.
you could also integrate Taxify with Booking
Yes.
Koala.
Yeah, so we were getting duplicate entries on revenue and all these other things. So it kind of threw us for a loop there, but our accountant cleaned it up, so that was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as financial management goes, we're really good at just looking at the revenue numbers we need to hit in profit margins. But yeah, I don't like financial stuff at all. I don't like
I think
looking
that's
at it.
probably the worst part of, like, I guess for us, let's just
Yeah.
say being business owners. Like, I am driven by numbers, but when I get lost in it, I'm like, I gotta unscramble myself. It's like
Yeah.
a bird's nest for me, for sure. So yeah,
Yeah.
once I get
That was
everything,
my least favorite course. Accounting in college was I would take any other course 100 times over instead of that.
it's not fun. But once you understand the numbers and you see what's going on,
Right.
you can actually see, I guess, progression or what you're about to do, in the future, or if you stay on track.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I don't necessarily think you need to develop a love for numbers, but I think everybody's like, if you're in business, you need to love the numbers, and I think really what you need is a respect for the numbers, honestly, because I do respect the numbers, and I 100% believe you need to know where you're at all the time. Otherwise, you're just flying by the seat of your pants. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what you need to hit in order, for growth or anything like that. And so, but the numbers definitely are not the funnest part unless you're like, oh wow, I just made $1 million here. Like that's awesome. Then those numbers are really cool. But other than that, like there's so much tracking to do. And I think when you're an entrepreneur and you're a visionary, your focus isn't really on the numbers. You're constantly coming up with new ideas, new business ideas, or new ways, different directions you could take the business. That the numbers sometimes isn't like at the forefront of your mind all the time. So you have to have people on your team that care about the numbers. So
Yeah, I guess that's the best advice we can give is, if you're not in love with numbers or you're not into it, hire yourself a numbers person. That will save you a lot of headache, for
I
sure.
like the way you put that, Nicole. You don't have to love it, the numbers situation, but you got to respect it. Because if you don't understand it, Joey, like you said, find somebody who does. Otherwise, you're going to spiral down real quick. You blow through a marketing budget, or you won't have enough money to pay your employees, and it gets
right.
messy really quick.
Yeah.
So then I guess, how are you fostering a positive company culture within your business, especially having employees?
That's actually her specialty. So
That's my full-time job. And my full-time job is people and culture. And so, I mean, I think just having the mindset always of people first helps a lot. I feel like if you're going to hire people, you need to create an environment that will benefit their lives, because we've all had jobs in the past where it just sucked the life out of you. You hated your job, you went home, you complained about it, you took nothing positive away from that. And I never, ever, in any job, like in our cleaning company or in my full-time job, I never want to take away from someone's life that way. And so that's just kind of where my mindset starts. To benefit, I want to benefit every single employee. So creating a structure where they know they can grow. Humans are made to have fun. I don't care where you work, you were made to play. We played when we were kids, and then we forgot how to play as we grew up as adults. Every single company needs ways to incorporate play, whether it's joking with each other, having a company that fosters, you have a lot of humor, you joke around a lot. Maybe you play games, or you gamify systems, you gamify reward programs and incentives. Have a way for employees to play. And then you really need to figure out what your core values are, what what is your company and who do you want to be? And those people should have the same values as you. So you all kind of have the same environment and culture in mind of what you want to have. And so we give our employees a lot of voice. We give them the ability to lead. We create a lot of buy-in from them, and we want their opinions all the time. We don't ever just spew out orders and say, this is how it is, do it like this. Because Joey and I created this company because we had great ideas of how to create and run a company, but not great ideas on how to clean. We hired people that had great ideas on how to provide a great experience in the home, how to have a good process of cleaning. And so we brought them in and we said, hey, you're so much better than this. Help us make the process. And that created all the buy-in. And now these systems, our employees take ownership over these systems and processes. So they make sure it happens. If another employee is not doing it right, there's another employee that's going to tell them how to do it right. I don't have to be the one to do it, because everyone, we all created this company together. And so giving them a voice, making them always making sure that they understand how vital they are to the growth of the entire company. And that this company wasn't built for me and Joey to become rich. It was really to create this really amazing company that everybody benefits from, including our clients. And you got to share the vision. You can't keep it in the dark. You can't just tell people what your vision is and say, jump on board and make it happen for me. It has to be a part of their lives and what they want also.
Yeah.
So
I can go
created like a fostering sense of accountability across everybody. The one person's having an off day, everybody else kind of steps up and it's like, this is how we're going to do it.
And the biggest thing about this too, that people don't realize, is when we talk about W-2 employees, they're like, everybody will say in all of the cleaning group pages, like, you can't pay employees hourly. You have to pay them per job, because they won't finish on time. They'll milk the clock. They will do all these things. So when I see people talk that way, I mean, this is my full-time job is in HR. What you're saying is you don't trust your people. And if you don't trust your people, you have the wrong people, or you're not communicating effectively on what you need to be done. Joey and I have always had really amazing people that really want to finish jobs on time and hit quality, but we made sure together as a team, we understand why that's important. It's not so we just make more money. It's because we have to make healthy profit margins in order to grow and do these next steps. But every employee needs to understand that. So they all feel accountable for hitting times and hitting quality. But it's the businesses that keep those things in the dark, but just expect employees to finish on time. And then they don't finish on time. They just think that their employees are horrible. The employees are the problem. It's always the business owner's fault for everything that happens in your business, every single thing. And yeah, that's kind of how we've structured things from day one. And we've had employees struggle here and there because they're human, but we always take accountability for everything that happens with them. And our employees just are always trying to do the right thing, because integrity is our number one core value. And so they're always trying to hit the quality and provide a great experience and trying to hit time all the time. So,
yeah.
Excellent.
I guess a lot of people ask, like, well, you don't have employees milking the clock, to get their hours in. And honestly, we had not had one. We've always had employees where they would either meet the time or go on or finish the job fast. Well, that's where, if you would recall, she talked about gamifying, right? So we gamified it and we provide incentives. So we use this incentive program. And one of the achievement points that you can get there is speed cleaner. That's what we named it as, a speed cleaner. So they receive so many points. And there's other achievements on there too. But once you receive so many points, let's say we have a loot chest, right? So in that loot chest, we got like Amazon gift cards, Visa gift cards, um, products, like I don't know, fanny packs. We got vans on there, so we have multiple prizes on there that they can claim. All they have to do is rack and stack their points, and they get to claim that incentive. So that's us kind of paying them back for making the company a lot more profitable, if you will. So if that makes any sense.
I'd
So
say it's less so making the business profitable, more so maintaining the level of respect for you guys and the brand and what you guys are trying to build. It's a family. It's
yeah,
you guys as a family, husband and wife, and then your employees are part of that family because business is bringing you guys all together. And when you have everybody on board with the same goal in mind, it just makes things so much easier. And now, like you said, gamifying it, it's bringing fun into an environment of work and hard work. It's not easy work.
Right.
It's not mentally hard. It's just physically tiring and just
Right. Yeah.
people don't want to do it. That's why there's a service for it. And the people that do come in and spend 10, 12 hours a day cleaning several homes, it's draining. But when you have a family behind it and make it fun and everybody's on the same page, that's the best win-win you can have, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So now with customer satisfaction, what steps do you guys take to ensure that and address issues or complaints?
I guess like what we mentioned earlier, just being fully transparent with them off that initial call, knowing their expectations and letting them know our expectations of what we're going to provide, just so that communication is there and there's no miscommunication. And also doing a follow-up call either the day of the service or the day after. Anything after that, usually if there is a complaint, then it's coming in, a few days after, but we want to catch it before they call. Have we received complaints in the past? Obviously, we're not. We're humans, right? Our team, and so just as long. So, for an example, we receive a complaint, and it was that I guess client calling in first, and we didn't reach out first. Then it kind of looks like, well, they didn't do a follow-up call. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they just want to come out, clean the home or clean my home, collect the check, and then take off running. Well, we're always trying to keep that communication line going.
Be proactive.
Yeah, be proactive about it instead of reactive.
Yeah. There's a lot of customer service steps that happen in between too. I mean, on the phone call when they initially call in, we have basically a script built out. We don't read it scripted, obviously, but we need some kind of roadmap. Like I said, I want processes for everything, even in sales. So if we have to bring in another salesperson, there's a little roadmap of kind of the process of our conversation and how we go through things. But the customer service continues after that. Like our automated texts that come from Booking Koala have to be really friendly and get them excited. Like, are you excited that you have your house cleaning booked? Like that first clean is exciting. And then making sure to do regular check-ins. But the customer service also happens in the home. And so training our employees on how to approach a house. What's the process of coming into a home? How do you speak to the customer and how do you address any questions? Because it's easy to just be a cleaner and you just go in and you start cleaning, but that's not part of the experience. The interaction with the homeowner is a big part of that. Sometimes they want to talk to you. How do you talk to them? How do you divert them from distracting you from cleaning? That's a whole another thing, right? You need to know how to do that professionally. And then how do you, if you find something in the home that you have a question about, or you're like, oh, this is a damaged area, I can't clean it. How do you communicate that to the customer? Because that has to be done right away. If you break something, that's another process that has to be, documented also. If something breaks, and your client should understand any breakages, this is our process. And then even at the end of the job, that's a whole other process too, that you're doing with the customer if they're there. If they're not there, it's another process with our office manager to reach out. So there's a lot of little steps that if you just look at it from a glance, you just think it's just, oh, you just go clean and then and then that's it. But there's so many little processes that should be built in to actually create that whole experience, because the experiences aren't just magic. We just didn't, it just happened. It's actually very thoughtful, and we put a lot of effort into creating the process how we want it to be, because you have to have duplicatable processes for every single employee so that you're consistent in your message and your branding and your customer service. And so I think that's something we have going huge for us, is our people are really focused on creating that process every single time.
That's massive. 100% agree. Once you have the processes down and they're set and they work, there's no need to change, unless, of course, over time,
right,
environment or tech changes and you're kind of forced to. But baseline, once you have it in place, like you said, duplicate, copy, paste. You hand this, you hire a new cleaner, here you go. You hire a new office staff, here you go. And it's just, you save so much time going forward with the new hires, with having these processes and steps to take versus, having to do it over and over and over and over again, especially if you're hiring over like a 3-month span, so many people, and you don't get a good cleaner at least every interview. You're just repeating these things for no reason, Big question here, especially with both you guys working 9 to 5s. How are you prioritizing and managing your times as business owners working full time?
Well, he's not a 9 to 5.
Yeah, I work a graveyard shift.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I choose to be on that shift. Just so, well, I'll tell you my shift hours: 10 to 7, right? So I work from 10 to 7, so 10 at night to 7 in the morning, and I get home. I'm in bed about maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then I get up at noon. So a lot of people are like, "Well, how do you function that way?" I mean, I just do. I don't drink energy drinks anymore. Um,
I wish I
guess,
could get on that level.
yeah, I guess,
I'm 1 or 2 a day.
yeah, I don't drink them anymore. I don't know. I guess it's just it's just in me now, just to get up. Like, I don't set my alarm anymore. I get up. The latest I get up is 12:30, noon 30. She tells me I need to sleep more, but so I get up like without an alarm clock. Get up at 12:30. I try and go back to sleep. Why can't? My brain just kind of starts going, right. So that's where I take the time and I head straight to the gym. The gym is my coffee. That's my energy drink. So I go there, do a workout, and from there I'm kind of awake. So and I'm ready to go for the day. Um, and yeah, and I go back into work at 10 at night and kind of repeat that process. And it's been like that since November of 2021. So yeah, I do definitely need to get more sleep. So I'm not promoting 4 to 4.5 hours of sleep. Whoever's watching,
No.
please get your sleep.
Yes, it is very important. My fiance, she's a NICU nurse and she's got night shift. So 6:45 till p.m. till 7:30 a.m. the next day. And I mean, she's even like you. Some days, if she's got so many, I guess, days in between her next shift, she needs stuff to do. She's in bed by 8:30 and up by noon to 1 o'clock. And I'm like, I don't understand how you can do that, but I'm jealous, truly.
So when we take vacations and stuff, yeah, I can find myself sleeping at the most 5, 6 hours, and it feels wonderful. So I wish I can stay in bed, for the full 8 hours or 7 at least. But yeah, my body and brain just kind of wakes up naturally now. I mean, I feel energized, but I know I should be getting more sleep for sure. But
It's
yeah,
just your body got used to it, and now it will
yeah.
take time for it to get unused to it and start a new schedule. Nicole, how about you?
Um, Prioritizing my time. I mean, my schedule, prioritizing the business. We definitely had, well, in the very beginning when we started, it's a lot of excitement when you start a business. So we spend every hour. Like when I get home, he's not going to work for a couple hours. We'd spend all that time planning, doing business stuff. And then every weekend we were just planning and putting things together till we finally launched. When we launched, I'm on Slack all the time. I'm reachable pretty much all throughout the day. And so when we first started, I was fielding some calls. I had a lot of people would come in through Google local services, and they would just send a message. So I would be texting when I could. And then eventually, where I work at now is an actual, like a virtual receptionist center. I've been there for 7 years, and we answer calls for home service companies there. And so I just signed up our company with it. And so we can get our calls answered 24/7 when our office is actually closed. If I want the calls to be answered in the middle of the night on a Sunday night or whatever, it's 24/7, and it's US, it's here in Utah with us. And so I can make sure the calls are always answered. I don't have to think about that because I can't prioritize answering calls. It's like the worst thing to prioritize your time on as a business owner is answering your phones. And so I do take a lot of time after I get off my regular job to think about any projects that I'm working on in the business. I think we've had we have great people managing the business, and then we outsource things that we don't want to do, like SEO. I don't know how to do SEO, so I'm not going to try to learn a new skill so that I could do SEO. And then I have another company doing marketing, running Facebook ads and Google ads, and helping with some other things like my automations, just so that I don't have to use so much brain power on it, because I do like to spend my time on the business being more creative, and I like to be the dreamer and think of where we could go and how can we get there. And so that's kind of where I prioritize most of my brain power, and we try to empower our team to solve a lot of the problems themselves day to day. If they have a customer complaint, they should be able to fix that themselves because we have processes for it already. If we have an employee issue, they should be able to handle it themselves by now as well. And then they can reach out to us for anything escalated.
Basically, just outsourcing, right? Just kind of, you got to spend the money to make the money, right? If you
Right.
will. I know a lot of business owners out there, just talking with them at conventions, they would always say, well, that's kind of too pricey for a monthly bill. I'm like, well, can you afford to lose one lead off your calendar? Or potential lead calling in. Can you afford to lose that? So for us, let's say our average lead that comes in, if we book that client, it's a $400 job, right? For a residential home. Let's say the call center that we're paying for, my bill is going to be, I don't know, so let's say $400. So, and that's a one time a month, right? That's your monthly bill. Well, just off that one client, could I afford to lose that one potential client coming in, that one lead that's going to generate $400 of revenue, compared to me paying that monthly bill for answering service, which is $400, right? So to me, when I look at it, I can't afford not to pay for this service, because I'm not just counting on one lead coming in, I'm counting on multiple leads coming in. But just booking that one lead is going to pay for that monthly subscription or your monthly service, right? Your bill. So yeah.
Absolutely. Outsourcing when you have much less time, and with the much less time, there are going to be tasks that, like you guys said, you don't like, or you not necessarily your high priority list to learn and then not outsource. So might as well just kind of get it over with and outsource right away where you can.
Yes,
Where you can. I'm not saying, you guys are outsourcing every single little thing, but again, outsource where you can, just so it helps you get to where you need to be. And like you just said, you're prioritizing what you outsource and doing it right and smart, so that if one lead comes in, it takes care of this subscription. Now, since that's taken care of, more time is open, more energy can be used towards converting those sales. Now those are going to pay out the rest of the subscriptions.
That's it. That's exactly what you just said. You want to free up your time. I'm not just saying free up your time to go have fun. Free up your time so you can actually focus on growing your business elsewhere, right?
Right.
just want to, you don't want to burn yourself out in all these in accounting, answering the phones, I guess, customer feedbacks. You don't want to burn yourself out in all those things. Employee management. If you can take all those under, I guess, under one hat and you do it all yourself, you're eventually going to get burnt out. So I guess what we focus on is longevity. I mean, if we did everything on our own, I mean, yeah, we would be having a fat paycheck in our pocket, but that's not our goal. Our goal is looking at that longevity. So
So
yeah,
we're creating a marathon business here, not a sprint business.
there
There
you
you
go.
go. Absolutely. And
Right.
it helps being married and business partners at the same time, but it's a lot harder to do because now you're adding another aspect into both your lives where it's a business is a child, especially in the beginning. You got to help it walk, learn to walk, and then it starts walking, and then it starts running, and then you're like, oh crap, I got to slow it down maybe. And then so having a partner in life and a partner in business at the same time, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's great, it's super easy. Not necessarily. It is
Agreed.
if you have the right partner and you guys are both on the same page with everything, then yeah, it makes everything a breeze, especially when you can divide tasks where Nicole, you take care of like brand recognition and HR aspect, and Joey, you're taking care of other aspects of the business, and separating the two but still working cohesively makes it all the marathon that much better at the
Yeah.
end. What about metrics, KPIs? Are you guys tracking a bunch of that stuff, or do you kind of let somebody else handle it?
So I track like I call it a job costing sheet. Um, if so, the job costing sheet that I track is that job profitable? Is that client profitable? So we go out for that first cleaning. Um, how fast, or not how fast, but what time did they get it? Did they get it done in time? Um, and how many people were on the job? So there's a formula in there that Nicole had created, and it lets me know if my job is anywhere from 40% to 80% profitable. Um, Ideally, what we try and hit is to always hit that 60% profitable on each job. And so, like with the going back to the recurring cleans and subscription cleans, I guess that's what you would call it, right? A recurring cleans, a subscription clean.
Just recurring.
Just
We always
recurring.
Yeah, recurring. So we always expect those recurring cleans to get faster. Let's say it's their third or fourth recurring clean. Their first recurring clean that they got done, they finished in 4 hours. Now that same cleaner is out there on that third recurring clean, and they're finishing 3.5 hours. So my 60% profit margin just went from 60 to, let's say, I'll throw out a number, 70% profit margin. So keeping track of that job costing is, to me, is important because it also identifies if we're not making. So it's color coded too. So let's say anything under 50%, it highlights yellow. Anything under 45%, it highlights red. So once I start seeing reds in there, that's when we do weekly team meetings. So that's where I start asking the question, hey, what's going on in this client's house? And they'll have a reason, a legit reason. They can justify it. Sometimes we might hit a lower profit margin on that home because we hired a new employee and that new employee is getting trained on that home. So it makes me understand what's going on out there on a day-to-day basis. We also have we track the, I guess, value annually of each client.
Yeah. So I would say KPIs, we're tracking our profit margins on every single job.
Every single
So
job.
yeah, he does run job costing on every job to figure out if we're hitting a specific profit margin. Then we are tracking things like our Google reviews, how many reviews we have. We're making sure to send out a certain amount of requests and use automations for that as well to make sure we're building the Google reviews. And I guess we focus on that more than Facebook or any other reviews. What other numbers do we track? all the time.
The value of each client, an annual value of each client.
Yeah, lifetime value of a
Lifetime
client,
value.
and we have pretty good numbers on what we expect our clients to spend per month, just to understand, like, a client might spend X amount of dollars every single month. This is our target. This is our client avatar. They spend this. They have this much extra money a month to spend on house cleaning. That's kind of what we go after. But then we have like the almost commercial side of things. I wouldn't want to say we're really specialized in commercial, but we do have some office cleans, and they are really profitable. Yeah. And so we are trying to build that side of the business, because those numbers are great too. That's kind of going off topic from the KPIs, but the biggest thing is the profit margins on the jobs is what we're tracking over everything else. But we also do track numbers on like our leads coming in. We track our conversion rates, tracking just the traffic from Google, traffic to our website, and everything like that. Our marketer kind of helps with tracking those things, because it's not something I'm like, oh, I want to see what this is today. I just like a report delivered, and then I like to look at the overall thing at the end. So
awesome. What's the approach to employee recruitment, training, and development? I know you guys have those processes and things of that nature, but I guess a rough overview of like start to finish on hiring.
Yeah. So we love to post on Indeed. It's probably where we get the most and the best applicants. We like to post those regularly, put new postings out so that they're fresh, so that we're constantly recruiting and looking for really good applicants to bring on board. From there, we like to use filters so that, because you do get a lot of applicants in. We even use free postings. We don't boost our posts. And so we do get a lot of applicants that come in, but you want to filter out as many as possible. So we utilize the assessments in Indeed, where applicants can answer some questions and even leave their phone recording to some of the questions. Anybody that does those steps is going above and beyond in the application process. So those are the ones we filter through first. If we don't get enough in there, then we will look deeper into the applications and things like that. But our GM will comb through applicants regularly, and she will reach out to them just to schedule interviews. And that's kind of the process that we're doing right now. As we grow, I can see automating that a little bit more. But when we do hire an employee, they go through an in-person interview, and they come into the office. And if they are a really good fit as far as our company values, and they can work the schedule that we're looking for, then we offer them a trial clean. And the trial clean is almost like a working interview, where we will pay them for it, but they're not hired. So we tell them we do pay them for this clean. It's only for a couple hours, not for the whole clean, but we want to see how they work with the team. And we tell them we want to see if it's something you'd actually love to do. And so they get a chance to experience the real clean itself before we actually go through the full hiring process of putting them into payroll and I-9s and W-4s and all that stuff. They get to actually try it out first. And that's been super successful. I mean, we've had maybe 2 people that have gone on a trial clean and said, you know what, I don't think this is the right fit for me. And that's great news to us, because we just avoided hiring someone and then having to let them go or having them quit.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot to get somebody hired. And so the trial clean's been really beneficial. So they go through the trial clean with one of our leads, and our leads will report back on how that experience went. And then our GM will reach out with the actual job offer and a start date. And they come in and they do actual orientation, their I-9 paperwork and everything. And they have some in-office training to learn about the equipment we use and the supplies, all the tech that we use, all of our systems and apps that they need. Can be overwhelming if you haven't used a lot of these for work before. And so they get to sit down and download these apps and figure out how to use them first. And then they immediately after that go out and work on a clean with a lead to start training. The training process, Joey built it with our operations and our trainer that is in charge of training. They built out the whole process of what to train on and what order. And so there's a training record that everyone has. Then they have to get checked off on all those trainings, all those things.
Yeah, all those little items. Once
Right.
they get checked off on all those little items, it may sound kind of like, I guess, overboard, but it's really items that would make them function on their own. Like, so if they were, we call it solo cleans. So once they're signed off and they can go in and take on a solo clean, um, they have the knowledge, the skill, and the experience to actually operate in a house by themselves you know, with the client and stuff. So answer questions, fill out damage reports, just report any information in, because we just don't want to train for, let's say, a week. Here's some cleaner, here's some microfiber towels, and here you go, and then just send them off at a client's home. Well, if you do that, I mean, you're going to lose that client. That person will not operate under one standard. And obviously, we have standards in our business and how we operate and function. So
that's kind of the end of that's the end of the hiring process and the training, I guess, in general. Yeah.
Awesome. I guess now work-life balance. I know, Joey, you said working out. What about as a couple? What are you guys doing to maintain a healthy work-life balance being married?
we're actually into fitness together, but not only into fitness and going out to the gym. We spend a lot of time together on the weekends. Just hiring that GM has freed up a lot of time.
I think you have a lot of mental space.
Yeah, a lot of mental
Yeah.
space. Like, I think there maybe 2 weeks ago, she's only been with us, I want to say maybe 5 weeks, going on 6. But I think there were a few weeks ago, just saying, thank you for uh, making me have my sanity back.
Yeah.
And we just kind of both laughed about it, But yeah, just spending time, going on hikes, going out to dinner, um, vacations and stuff. Just making sure you have that quality time, that one-on-one time with the kids as well, but also as a spouse, as a married couple, you want to make sure you have that quality time with your significant other. And it could be something as small as going out and getting yogurt or ice cream or something like that, taking a drive up in the mountains for an hour. So just making sure you have that quiet time together. So yeah,
Just disconnecting from your
it is.
full-time jobs as well as your business, and 100% focus is on each other. Great. Setbacks and failures within the business. How are you guys handling that?
I don't think we've had any setbacks or failures. I think we've had challenges. We've definitely had some failures with like trying out different things, like, hey, let's try this new offer, or let's try this new pricing structure, and have had a couple of those things not work out well, but they didn't it was just something like, oh, just abandon it, it's not working. So it wasn't a huge, like, per se failure. I think we set up the business for success from day one. Like I said, marathon business and not sprint. So we weren't planning on making tons of money up front. We were planning on creating something more hands-free, where we weren't the cleaners, because we'd get stuck in those positions, but we also weren't the salespeople or the managers or anything. And so it has taken a lot of work, but
Just always pushing that positive mindset, not with just each other, but with the team. She's a lot more positive than I am. I'm more of like a skeptical, so I need to see, I guess, facts in my face before I actually jump towards them.
yeah.
Um,
I'm not really a positive person. I mean, I'm not negative, but I'm not this super bubbly positive person. I've never been, but I'm super optimistic person.
Yeah,
I
that's
always think, and I also strongly believe that there's a solution for everything. And it's something I learned from my full-time job, actually. Like you asked earlier about work-life balance, and my honest opinion is I don't really have a balance in between. I feel like they all bleed into each other, and you just need to know how to turn one off when you have to. Because if I'm at work and something personal is really important, I need to turn work off, because my kids and my husband are my priority. If I'm at home and there's no fires at home, but the business needs something, I'm going to have to do the business thing, even if it's in the middle of the night. When we talk about spending time together, like, we're running our first half marathon together in September. We're running Ragnar together next year. Both of those events are being funded pretty much by my full-time job. And so the combination of work and life, I think they have to be, if they're intertwined in a really good way, they can really benefit each other. And kind of add more value to your life, just knowing when to turn certain things off. But one of the things I did learn is like everything is figure outable is the motto that I like to use. Every time someone's freaking out that something's going wrong in our business, because our employees might feel like, oh no, something's happening. And we're like, it's okay. We're going to figure it out because you can only control what you can control right now. So how can we just fix it and then move forward? I'm not going to freak out about anything, and I don't get my feelings hurt. I just want to figure out a solution. And so I feel like that mindset has always helped us to not have so much stress, and just not freak out about certain things or just over the top. At the end of the day, are you going to be alive and your family going to be safe and healthy? If the answer is yes, then figure everything else out. Like
Absolutely.
nothing else is as serious as that to me. And so everything is, I'm able to roll things off my shoulders. So I really don't feel like we've had any huge setbacks.
Definitely a lot of like challenges for sure.
Good challenges. Yeah. If everything's really easy, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Like if everyone's booking, your pricing's too low. There's a lot of, it shouldn't be so easy. It should have some kind of challenge. And if it's super easy, it's not very satisfying when you reach certain goals because, things are meant to be hard. Running is hard. If it was easy, everybody would run.
Yeah.
So.
And we're not runners, so it's just another challenge. It's just another challenge we threw at ourselves. It's just kind of,
why not run 13 miles, right?
Yeah. Good luck, you guys. I mean, I ran cross country and track in high school. I've done a half marathon. I've done a full marathon. I actually did the full marathon with no training. I would never recommend anybody to do that because I could not walk for a week.
Yeah.
Couldn't get out of bed. So horrible, but absolutely just training yourself and giving yourself a little motivation to do something you're not used to
Right.
is huge. And Nicole, you said like when your employees call you freaking out that something's off, but you're telling them, it's okay. That's also showing you how great of a job you did with your employees, getting them to that point where it's, everybody's like a family within the business where they freak out that something's off. They want it to be perfect. So they're calling you and being like, hey, upfront about it. Something's off. We got to fix this. They're not pushing it under the rug and trying to hide it and being like, it's fine. Well, somebody will figure it out. It doesn't have to be me. Yeah. So huge to have a team behind you like that. And I'm sure your customers see it too. If your employees are like that, if you guys are like that, if your manager's like that, then your customers are getting the best service they possibly can get.
Right.
Yeah. Our team gets a lot of compliments from our clients, and they're always so, I guess we always thank them for their kind words and we share those I guess compliments with our team during our team meetings or even on our daily basis. We use Slack. We're always giving shout outs to our team and stuff. So
yeah, that's huge in recognition too, is you got to make sure that your whoever's doing the cleanings knows what's being said about the cleans, because it's really easy to just separate, like they just go and do the job and they don't really know what happened afterwards. They need to be connected to the results of that job. They need to be accountable for if it failed or if it was really successful. They need to be acknowledged for that. And so we're constantly, like Joey mentioned, the follow-up's really important on the first clean and then regular follow-ups afterwards. But that first initial one is huge. We want to find out right away, did we meet your expectations? How are things? If they have feedback, we need to know. And all of that gets sent to everybody on that job right away because they need to know, and they need to know fast. You can't really put it off and wait long. And so we've got that process down pretty well also.
Yeah.
Definitely seems like it. From what you guys are telling me, you guys have that locked down, and if anybody's going to reach out to you for sending over those processes, I don't know if I'd want to hand them over, because that's like your guys' gold right there.
Yeah,
it's definitely our I guess our go-to. It's our Bible, just building those processes, and we have them all. Like, it may sound like we're just spitting out processes out, just generally out of our brain, but you got to also make sure you document them, because you also want to share them for your future employees or your future team. So, like what you mentioned earlier, the sales process, that's big. 'Cause once we hire another salesperson, we want to make sure they are getting to trained the same way as
The original.
the original. So yeah.
And Nicole, you kind of mentioned already, like, if it was so easy, if you're just getting bookings nonstop, your pricing is probably too low. So how do
Right.
you guys approach your pricing and ensure that your services are competitive? Because you also mentioned earlier that your price is not low.
Right. I don't think we've spent a lot of time really focused on our competition. I think that could get really ugly really fast and get trapped, thinking that the competition is offering something different or the competition is cheaper. You're always going to find, I mean, I don't want to be cheaper. I don't necessarily want to be the most expensive either, but I wouldn't mind. I mean, if you bring the value, like there's a reason why you buy the most expensive something, right? We all have a thing that we buy the
Right.
most expensive thing of, which is ridiculous to other people. But there's a reason. And so, gosh, I keep losing my train of
So
thought.
sorry, I got a great analogy for that, right? So you're a runner, you've done half marathons, marathons, cross country, you said, right?
Mhm.
So if you were to go shop for running shoes, would you shop at Walmart or would you go to an actual specialized
Running store.
running store,
The
right?
running store. Absolutely.
Exactly. So when you're shopping around for, I guess, a luxury service is what we advertise. If we're shopping around for a luxury service, not just quality, but when I say luxury, I'm not talking about like Gucci and all those high brands. I'm talking about like quality, customer experience, full transparency, 100% communication back and forth from client to our salespersons or to our GM or with us. That's luxury to me compared to all the competitors out there. Because I call someone up to, let's say, clean the outside of my house, the windows, and they do the job and they just leave, and I don't have a clue when the job ended.
Yeah. So I think our pricing is competitive. It's really
Yeah.
close to the higher end of pricing for some of the companies that I think are comparable to our website and the online booking link and some of the things that they offer. But we're definitely on the more expensive side. And people that call in, usually they can tell that from the website and from quoting themselves, maybe. But what they usually tell us is that they're not looking for the cheapest. They came to us because they liked the videos on our website. They loved the whole checklist and they loved the Google reviews, which is why I said it's one of the KPIs we track is how many reviews we have and how many requests are being sent out. Because almost all of the jobs we book, it's because they say, well, you guys have really great Google reviews. And so that's why, because we always ask, like, how did you hear about us? And, why did you pick us? And so if they're brand new, either they're a referral or they love the reviews and the website and everything. Um, but that helps us to kind of justify that's the pricing that we're going to charge if you want a company like that. But we are definitely on the pricier side of things. And yeah, people still book with us because they just want that experience.
Exactly. You back your pricing with what you offer. It's
Yeah.
not, oh, I'm gonna charge X amount and give you as low as I can of a product or a service,
Right.
get away with it and pocket all that profit. No.
There's also a psychology to pricing too. I mean, I'm sure there's other companies out there that do great work like we do, and they're way undercharging. Um, there's just a psychology with pricing. When you bring your price up really high, it already increases perceived value. And I'm not saying increase your price and not bring the value. Obviously, they have to match up. But bringing up the price doesn't always scare everybody away. A lot of times you'll just attract a whole different crowd of people. Where, like Joey mentioned before, and I like to use as an analogy all the time, are you Walmart and what's another company? Like, I don't know, Dillard's?
Yeah.
They don't market to the same people,
Sure.
for clothing. And there's a reason why. It's not that one company is better than the other. They just know who their target market is. And so if Dillard spent money advertising to people who like to shop at Walmart for clothing, they'd be wasting all their money. But there's people out there that are like, no, I don't want to pay Walmart prices. I want to pay Dillard prices. I want to pay for that quality and those designs rather than the Walmart stuff. And so just bringing your pricing up in general just increases your perceived value already. You're attracting people who aren't looking for price. They're looking for something different. And now you're able to bring and focus more on that stuff, and there's no way to grow your company if you're not if you're not charging a premium price. You really can't grow. You can't hit your profit margins. You can't hire people. You can't even bring the best service if you're not charging premium prices, because you can't afford the supplies. You can't afford the marketing and all the tech. And so you're really shorting your customer if you're not charging premium prices, because you can't bring everything to them.
And on top of that, the thing that you guys try to stray away from, discounts.
Yes.
Now you're undercharging, you got too cheap of prices, and now you're slapping a 15% off for Memorial Day or 4th of July weekend sale. And what are you left with after you pay all your overhead and your providers?
Yeah. And what type of clients are you attracting? Because I've loved discounts in the past, but Joey and I, when we need something really badly, we don't care about a discount because we're going to pay what it's worth because we need it. Right. And so, I mean, if you want clients like that are like, no, I just need a really good cleaning service. I'm not looking for the cheapest. I want quality. I want trustworthy people, and I'm willing to pay. Or do you want the person who's like, I'm looking for a deal. This guy's charging less. Can you beat that price? Why are you guys taking so long? If you're charging hourly, which I highly don't recommend, but I know some companies love that. But yeah, it's a psychological thing with business owners being afraid to charge what they're really worth. You're scared to get rejected. And I mean, I've been in sales before, and I'm not afraid to get rejected. It's like a fun challenge for me to get someone to say, yes, I want it. But yeah, you don't want everyone to say yes. Absolutely not.
I guess
not everybody is your customer.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's what I was going to get at. I guess for, everyone else watching out there, I guess the first question you want to ask yourself is, what is your ideal customer? So if you know your ideal customer, then you can come up with your pricing, and then you can bring that value, and that will equal out to your ideal customer.
I mean, if you think about it, there's companies that business model. If you go to Kohl's, have you ever bought anything full price at Kohl's? No. I've never once. There's always a discount, and their regular pricing is ridiculously too high for what the store is. But that's the perception that the public has of that company. And so I think going into it, our ideal was like, who do we want to be? Who do we want when clients look at us? What do we want them to know us for? The company that always has a 50% off discount, you just got to go search for it, or you got to call and be like, hey, but I know you guys have a coupon, so can I use that 50% off? We never have to deal with that. The only question someone will ask is, do you have a veteran discount or a military discount? That is the only thing that we offer. Aside from, like we said, we'll add additional value on top of something, like adding on a free oven clean on top of your price, but never discounting our price.
And that's huge. I feel like anybody who is going to watch this interview, if there's one thing you want to take away, is that is massive. Don't discount yourself, because you're just going to constantly be thinking, all right, now I'm too expensive. Now I got to give this discount or what have you.
Don't feel like you have to explain your pricing so much either.
Right.
Because I have seen a lot of business owners get stuck in that. Here's my price. And then someone's like, oh my gosh, why are you so expensive? That's double. All you need to say is, yeah, our pricing is a lot higher. And this is why we bring all this value. Is it something you'd like to, do you want to get booked right now? Like, you don't have to go and I just see a lot of business owners have to say, but I hire people and I have expenses and I have this overhead. They don't need to, clients don't.
That'll be the petty response that somebody can give.
Clients don't care about you and your business. They just don't. They only care about themselves. And so anytime you're selling your service, you have to frame the conversation to make them the hero in their own story. And so you're selling house cleaning to them. You don't talk so much about yourself, but you're like, yeah, you make them the hero. Your house will be spotless. You will have more free time. We're going to give it to you, but you're the one that's, changing your life by hiring us. And you don't have to defend your pricing at all.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So yeah, don't defend your pricing. Like what she's saying, agree what they're saying. If they're saying like you are way more than so and so down the street, I
I
agree.
agree.
I agree with
Yeah.
it because I bring this value, or because you get this out of our services. So
And just like you kind of gave a quick little 10, 10-second response, one little one-liner sentence, and then at the end of it, would you like to book us now?
Mhm.
If they say yes, great. If they say no, you just got rid of a 20-minute headache of a phone call going back and forth with somebody who's not going to end up booking with you anyway. And you're just fighting to justify why you are priced the way you are, where they're going to get off the phone and not care in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's how you can filter out from them ideal clients too. Someone that's arguing your pricing, you don't want to book them because they're no matter what you do to their home, they'll never be satisfied.
Absolutely.
Generally, right? Most cases, that's how it turns out. So
And then be worried about if you do go to the clean, are they going to be reaching back out to you to either re-clean or get a refund or just give you even more of a headache after the clean, and then potentially threaten you with, well, I'll give you a 1-star on every site that you're listed on. For what reason do you need that headache? Nobody needs that. So
always look for that ideal client for sure.
100%. Going a little bit more towards the software now, what role does technology play in your business ops?
Everything.
Yes, I'll say 100%. It has a bull by the horns. So it actually is the engine that's driving it. Is a lot of our business is basically 99.9% automated. We do have an office. Obviously, we do have a GM, but we function off technology 100% for sure.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. Sorry.
that's just the day and age we're in right now. If you're not at, you said 99.5 or 9%, if you're not at like 90 and above, you're leaving a lot on the table in terms of revenue and profit, and as well as time saved and headaches reduced.
Yeah, there's too many tools out there that help you to get the job done so much faster. There's no reason for you to manually be doing anything really. I mean, unless you just prefer, taking notes on a piece of paper. A lot of people do that still. Sometimes I like to do it in meetings just to, get off of my phone, take actual paper notes. But I mean, we have systems in place for payroll, for all of our hiring and our onboarding and our training. We do a lot in Google Drive with Google spreadsheets and Google Docs. We create a lot in there to share with everybody. But then using Booking Qualif for booking quotes and booking, and then
Running reports.
running reports. We use Go High Level for a lot of our automations because it's just really powerful software to do all of the CRM stuff, along with reputation management built in. That's been pretty awesome to use in combination with everything else that we have. And well, man, there's probably more. There's obviously things we have to do, like we have supplies in office and we have to manually refill those things and have, we like to have an actual office space, which I know is an expense. But we didn't want to work out of our house and have all our employees come here. We need that separation. And we also wanted it to be professional enough where they took pride in coming into the office that was the headquarters. Which, I mean, we thought about the idea of a storage unit also, which is not bad. I know a lot of companies do that, but we wanted an office space where people could comfortably sit and meet, because one-on-ones and huddles are really important to us as a team, because it's easy to get lost just going out on jobs and never seeing each other. But yeah, tech pretty much runs everything else. Yeah, as far as all those programs and software, and then Slack's huge for us because we have so many Slack channels. not just for this business either. So I literally need it to organize my life.
Excellent. So how long have you been using BK?
Oh, we switched to Booking Koala. I want to say it was like 4 months into the business.
Maybe 3-4 months into it. Yeah, 3-4 months.
So a little over a year then now.
Yes.
And what drew you into using it and why? What made you make the switch?
So I've been in a lot of different systems for just home services, right? And I've just heard, I think I was looking for a company that was not one of the bigger names already, that didn't have that good, like better customer service. And like, they weren't listening to everybody for all the programming needs anymore. It was kind of a huge corporation at that point. And so I started looking for software that was specific to the maid services or house cleaning. And you've got Zen Maid, which is pretty big already. And then Maidily, Launch 27. And I had tried a couple of them because what I needed, I had very specific needs and wants in the software. And I can kind of know on the back end kind of what they can do. And every system will have something that you don't like, right? But I needed my top thing. And the thing really was to make sure people could quote themselves and see their first clean and then their recurring clean pricing on the same page. I needed that because what I realized when we first started, we had a system and it would show you your first clean and then you'd have to go in and rebook your recurring cleans to get that discounted price. And I'm like, that cannot work. So I really only found a couple systems that did this, and we had kind of hopped around from Maidily, and then I went to Launch 27, realized they wanted more money just to get the app for the employees to log in, and I thought that was ridiculous. And then I found BK and was just looking through the reviews, and I think I did a demo because I knew exactly what I needed. So I'm like, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? What does it cost? And everything just lined up, and I was like, deal. So because I'm fine setting up on the back end, there's a lot of learning to do, but that was, you guys had what I had to have in order for people to quote effectively, for our team to quote effectively and book fast. It had all of that stuff, and the price was great for what I needed. I should say what we needed.
Yeah.
I love that it sent the text reminders out. I know a lot of systems do that, but that's just another thing. We have to have reminders sent out frequently because we can never go out and have someone forget to let us in. And literally that's only happened maybe once in a year and a half. So it works great. And just like the only thing that I'm waiting for, that's the biggest hurdle for us right now. And it's not a deal breaker, but it's like, we charge the deposits on our cleans. We have to. We have to collect a deposit, and there's no easy way to just do it in Booking Koala. Just put in the deposit amount, and click charge for a deposit. We go and Stripe manually, and we charge the 20% deposit, and then we go back into Booking Koala and we change the pricing so that when we run the job and we charge it, it doesn't charge the full price anymore. That's really the only thing that I'm really waiting for. I think everyone else has bigger things on the list, but that's like our number one is the deposit.
Then you're not utilizing the credit card hold feature?
We are. Yeah, we are, but we're charging a non-refundable deposit.
Yeah, right up front.
Up front. So if you cancel, we're keeping it. So we have to charge it right away. And then the hold goes into place 3 days before the job, but it's for the remainder. So, because the deposit's ours to keep. Like, we won't even put you on the calendar unless you pay us. Because people just kept canceling on Fridays, and it would be like, we'd be done for the day. They'd cancel for the next Monday job, and we have no way to fill it because it's the weekend. And we're like, this has to stop. And it was because they were getting quotes that were cheaper than ours after they booked with us. So yeah, we put a stop to that real quick. So that deposit is like everything to us.
Then I'll make sure, note it down. And if you haven't already sent it to us to add it into our feature request, then I'll make sure it's added.
Yeah, the biggest, really quick too, because when we run reports in BK for our revenue, it's not accurate because we've charged deposits in Stripe. So if that makes sense. So when I pull a report in BK of the sales for the month, I have to go into Stripe to look for any deposits charged and then add those together. That's the true revenue for the month, like projected revenue. Because the deposits were removed from the BK pricing for the client's first job, if that makes sense. And so now the reporting is just inaccurate, which again, not a deal breaker. That was our workaround for making sure clients weren't canceling on us. But I know a lot of other companies are charging deposits, like 50% deposits, whatever percentage. But that deposit we'll never get rid of because that saved our butts.
Yeah, we learned that. I think we started 20% non-refundable deposit, maybe, oh goodness, maybe 5-6 months in.
Yeah.
So
And that 20% non-refundable, it doesn't matter when their booking is for. Like if I book with you guys today for a month out.
Yeah.
Or same as, even more so if I book today for 2 days from now.
Yeah. 2 days is kind of hard because sometimes they don't get back to us with their card. So when we go into Stripe, we send an invoice to them. So if the job is like the next day or 2 days, sometimes it's just too soon. We just end up charging the whole job. But yeah, it doesn't matter how far out you're booked. If it's your first clean, or you're coming back after a long pause for a deep clean again, you're going to pay a 20% non-refundable deposit to hold your spot on the calendar. Once you're in recurring cleans, we don't do that anymore. It's just that first clean that we charge that for.
It's just because you're taking up a slot where somebody else could have been calling in and they wanted the same time frame.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hurt us in the past, like what she was saying.
Yeah.
So then I'll add the report thing to simultaneously come out with that feature because it would work.
It would work
for the reports. Absolutely.
You could actually add that in as our, like, you were asking about struggles or things that we had to overcome. It was really people canceling last minute on us because of our pricing. Cheaper pricing would come in, and then people would cancel our job, and then we would be left with a hole. It was always usually the Fridays. People would cancel on a Friday, and their job was on Monday. And so we would be like, oh my gosh, there's nothing to fill for Monday. So implementing that deposit it changed a ton for us. Like,
it's a big game changer.
Huge.
So I advise it, and if you're not using it, you have to use it.
You have to charge a deposit, yeah. Because your space on your calendar is like, people are taking it. You're getting more leads coming in, and they're asking for next week, and you're like, nope, sorry, it's full. And then if somebody cancels, you just turned away all those other clients. And if you have nothing from that, like, you should be compensated for that.
Yeah. It's a game changer.
It's really helped with retaining clients on their first clean. Once they get into their first clean, it's more of our service and the experience on the clean that they don't want to leave. Like, I love my cleaners. I'm not going to switch. But that first clean is vital. You got to get that first one in. So,
have you tried using the feature where it's basically if the customer cancels, it's up as soon as, I believe, 12 or 24 hours, and you could have it all the way up to like 5 days before. If they cancel, then you set how much you would refund back. Have you tried using that one? And it didn't work out?
We have it set to we have a cancellation fee if it's in 24 hours. Or 48 hours, 24 hours, it's a $65 cancellation fee. But we don't want people to cancel after they've booked, and we want them to be serious, because we've had people say, oh yeah, just put me on the calendar, and we tell them, well, we charge a 20% non-refundable deposit, and then they're like, oh, I'll call back. So it's like they didn't really intend on getting on the calendar, but it doesn't happen a lot. People are more than happy if they're okay with our price. They don't care about the deposit. They'll just pay it up front. And we've had a few have to cancel, and we'll make, a judgment call. If it's an emergency, something horrible happened last minute, we're going to give it back. We don't want to keep it anyway. But if somebody calls in, which we've had, and they're like, oh, you know what? I can't do it. I changed my mind. And it's the next day. We're like, sorry, we're not going to keep, we lost a whole bunch of jobs that we would have put in your spot. It's so last minute.
This is all in our service agreement too. So the customer has to sign it before we even put them on the calendar. So they'll get like an automated text with that service agreement, and it talks about basically our service, and the 20% is in there, and they have to sign it before they actually get a hard date on the calendar for what they're requesting.
Then how do you guys handle bookings that happen online when you guys are sleeping?
We reach back out that very next day that start of the day. So our salesperson or our GM will reach back out, and that'll be their number one priority, is to set the expectations with them, talk with them, let them know everything that's going on, and then go ahead and book them.
Right.
So,
We don't have it turned on so people can book same day or next day. I think we have it set up for like 48 hours, 2 or 3 days out.
Okay.
But the way our calendar is structured is that they really can't see a ton of availability. We can see what we can move around. Like they might not see availability for like a month or two out, but we can see the spots that we can accept people in and manually book people for. But yeah, if someone does self book, which I wish we would get more of, but really we like talking to our clients too. We have people self book and then we do make sure to call them because we have to go over information with you and like make sure that because people will tend to put their square footage lower than it is. They be like, "Oh, I had pets, but I didn't click it because mine doesn't shed." I'm like, "Well, does it drool? Does it eat food? Because pets make mess besides hair, and we always add pets, no matter if it sheds or not."
yeah.
So we do have to have a conversation just to make sure, because the times that we've tried to do it without a conversation are probably the times we've run into the most issues, just with not building the rapport and whatnot. But I think as we grow too, and we kind of learn more about what we're doing and how we want to do it, it would be wonderful to just automate. People book, we show up, and then it's done. Like, but is that really the customer service experience that we really want behind our brand? Is so hands off? And I don't think so. I think our employees love to work with the clients and like talk to them too. And so,
A
yeah,
lot more personalized.
very intimate type of service into your home, in your bedrooms, your bathrooms, and seeing things. People feel very vulnerable. Like people are embarrassed to get their houses clean. They clean up before our cleaners come. They do those things because they're embarrassed. They're not comfortable. So it takes a lot of building trust, and it definitely is that experience you have to think about. So, yeah.
100%. Final question here. What advice would you give to an aspiring business owner, or if you were looking at your guys' selves a year and a half ago to what you know now, what are some words of encouragement you would give yourself?
Start today. Start today. Don't waste time thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine would be, don't take everything so seriously.
Yeah.
Like, be professional, know what your goals are, and work super hard, but don't take yourself so seriously, because things should be fun. If you're not enjoying it at all, you're in trouble because it's so hard to get out of that trap once you get stuck in a really dark place, which is easy in entrepreneurship for sure. Don't take things so seriously. Try to have fun. Really look at your numbers and push for really good profit margins, because profit margins are everything. Like, you need to make a healthy profit margin, not just hit sales goals. Because sales is just a number, but profit margins really tell you like where you're at, what's left over, and delegate everything that you can out. Anything that you do not love to do, that doesn't bring you joy, and that you're not good at, hire someone else, delegate it to somebody else, because you're not doing anybody any favors doing a job that you weren't meant to do. Like, you suck at it, give it to somebody else. Do what you're really, really good at, even if it's just the dreamer and the visionary that comes up with ideas all day long. If you put yourself in the wrong position, you're just kind of killing what you're really passionate and what you're really good at. So find your role also, and employees to fill the roles. Everybody needs a role. Joey and I need our own roles too. As soon as we go into the wrong roles, we're not functioning at our highest. So that's a lot of advice for sorry, cut me out like half of what I say.
No, it's fantastic info because everybody's got something different to say. As every time I do an interview, this is one of my favorite questions to ask, because everyone might say the same thing, like, start right away or something. But then there are different answers, like Nicole, get your processes down, make sure, like, these are the little things that, they might not think of right away while watching this or whatever. But if they are watching it and it comes up, they're like, you know, I'm glad I heard that, because that's not something that I was expecting to hear. That's not something that I was, expecting to think of, but it would have been down the line, and somebody's giving me advice on it now. So totally huge.
Yeah, when I say start right away, it doesn't mean like open the doors and start taking on your first client. I guess start right away is more like start actually getting serious about it and developing your initial processes so you can open those doors right to that client, and then you can go ahead and process improvement from there. Your processes don't have to be 100% perfect. No process is 100% perfect. It always can be improved. So yeah, start right away, delegate and automate your whatever services you have. Like
Utilize technology.
Exactly. Automate, utilize technology for sure.
Yeah, don't get left behind.
Even if it's 20, 30 minutes a day in the very beginning, like set out half an hour to be like, I'm going to pick out a name and a logo and make sure it's, available on GoDaddy and all the social sites. And that's day one. Once I lock that down, good. And then the next day, just small steps, and then that'll get the ball rolling.
And then when you're all in that mix, don't forget, number one priority is yourself. So you got to take time for yourself for sure.
And the biggest thing is have fun.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be super serious 100% of the time. This is your life. It's something that you're building with people, building connections, friendships. Have fun with it. So many people, I feel like, forget that aspect very quickly, where they're like, I'm so focused on being, the next Bill Gates or whatever, and they're not thinking about how much fun they could actually have throughout this process by simply meeting new people.
Right.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure getting to know both of you and your business, your story. Everything about you guys is absolutely wonderful. And I hope in the next coming years, I'll be able to interview you guys again. And if you don't want to be working your full-time jobs then, and you're just going to be traveling the world and letting this run it, I hope that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.